Welcome back to ITE 1932 Technical Writing. This is the third lecture in the series. I am Nisan Silva, and today we will look at summarizing. This is the color coding that we will be using for this lecture and all the subsequent lectures. Please pause here for a bit and remember this color coding. Now, the first question is, what is a summary? It is a shortened version of an original text. It is something that you would do a lot in your academic or professional life. And a summary is about 10 to 25% of the length of the original text. It is a synthesis of key ideas of a text using your own words. We will reiterate these points again and again within this lecture. Be careful not to copy the exact words from the original source, because then it would not be a summary. It includes a thesis statement and the major supporting points. Remember the thesis statement from last week's lecture. A summary might be written as a standalone assignment for a course such as this, or a research course, and it might be a part of a longer document, for example a literature review in a research paper. Or you might write your own summaries to keep note of what will help you remember what you have read. It is a powerful reading strategy. It helps with comprehension and retention of information. Both writing a summary and then reading it again helps you with remembering information that you want to remember. Now, a good summary should identify the writer of the original text if it is available. It would synthesize the writer's key ideas. Remember, no copy pasting. And it will present the information neutral. A summary is not the place for you to give your opinions. A summary is just you condensing the ideas of the author. You do not have a stake there. Now, one thing a lot of students get confused about is the difference between quotes, paraphrasing, and summarizing. So let's look at that. A quote has the purpose of highlighting the text. A paraphrase has the purpose of clarifying the text. Summarizing has the purpose of condensing the text. When you are quoting, you need to maintain the accuracy or highlight these specific words. When you are paraphrasing, you need to maintain your own voice while sharing important information. When you are summarizing, you are relaying the main idea from someone else's writing. It's not your idea. It's not your opinion. A quote exactly matches to the original source, but both paraphrase and summarize is written in your own words. Moreover, a quote exactly matches to the original source as we previously discussed, but a paraphrase has same or slightly different, slightly less than the original in length. And when you are summarizing, it is significantly shorter than the original. Further, a paraphrasing takes somewhat broader segment of the source and condenses it, but no change happens in quote. Remember, in a summarization, you take a broad idea and condense it severely. Remember, 10 to 25%. The reason for using quote is to have an impact and show a narrow segment of the source to highlight it. Remember, paraphrasing is to give a smaller amount of information out. Summarizing is to shorten a larger passage or a source material to a smaller form so that people can engage with it easier. You need to use quotation marks if you are quoting. If you are paraphrasing or summarizing, you need to highlight major parts of the source information. And most importantly, in all three of these, you need to cite the source. Pause here and look at this comparison for a while. Now let's look at how to write a summary. As you begin your summary, follow these directions. You need to state the title and credit the author of the original. You need to cover the main ideas and the main points. You need to write enough to convey those ideas. It should be much shorter than the original, but it should be long enough to give a good sense of the main ideas and supporting ideas. You need to leave out your own ideas, opinions, or judgments. You need to use your own words rather than those of the original writer. You need to rewrite it with your own words, but not your ideas. There is an important difference between those two. Further on, let's break it down to an algorithm, because we are computer science people and we like to have a step-by-step algorithm. So again, since we are computer science people, let's start at step 0. Keep your focus. Then step 1, when we begin the summarizing in earnest, you need to read the text, break the text down into sections, identify the key points in each section, and then write the summary. Finally, check the summary against the article. Pause here and remember these points. Okay, let's look at step 0, keeping your focus. So this is step 0 because these points, these things that we are going to discuss right here, are important throughout the process of summarizing. So what you learn here in step 0 is important in step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and step 5. Okay, so these are the things where you need to keep your focus. And you might see these words, the things that are discussed here, popping up in the other steps when we are discussing them. So you need to be mindful of text features, vocabulary, the thesis sentence and the topic sentences, and reporter's notes. We'll see what each of these are. Text features. Text features are the easiest thing, and you might already know what these are, just that you might not have known what they are called. Now, they provide important information. These are the things that the author highlighted as important information. How has the author highlighted them? First, we have titles and subtitles. Then we have bold text, italic text, and sometimes both. Next, we have things that are in color. Maybe things are highlighted in color. Maybe things are underlined in color. Then we have margin notes. These might not always be there, especially if it is only a printed or an online source. But if you are highlighting, if you are summarizing something that is on a printed book, it is very probable that there are margin notes. So that might not even be the author. It might be somebody else, some other reader who thought that these things are important. And then there are box text. So this is something that the author has decided to be important. You might feel like you need to include these in your summary, and you'd be right. So keep a watchful eye towards these. The next point is vocabulary. Sometimes if you are writing a summary by yourself for an assignment or homework, sometimes the vocabulary is given to you. But sometimes you need to extract it from the source. But an important thing to remember from previous lectures is that using good vocabulary does not mean using jargon. It is not a tool to use hard words to confuse the reader. Your idea is, in fact, to give a simpler version of a document. So do not make it overly complex. Now, the next title, I think you are very familiar with, because we discussed this in the last lecture. You need to find the thesis sentence and the topic sentence in each paragraph. The topic sentences hold the most important information in each paragraph. The simplest way to write a very quick summary is to take the thesis sentence and take the topic sentences, put them together, and paraphrase them. Again, throw back to the previous lecture. If you have forgotten what a thesis sentence and a topic sentence is, pause this video and go back to the previous lecture and have a look at it. Okay. Next, you have reporter's notes. In this, you ask the questions who, what, where, when, why, and how. You should keep these questions in your mind when you are reading the document that you are summarizing. That way, if you look for the answers for these questions while you are reading, you can write a brilliant summary. This might be at a document level or even sometimes paragraph or idea level. These questions would help you create the framework for the summary. Now we move on to step 1, where you read the text. You read the article more than once to make sure that you have understood it. It's often effective to read in 3 stages. Now, 3 stages does not mean only 3 times. You can repeat these stages as you wish. First, you scan. You scan the article with your eyes to get a sense of the topic and its overall idea. Then you honestly and deeply read the article, looking at important points and taking notes as you go. Finally, you skim the article. This is to confirm that you have actually understood the key points. Next, step 2. You break down the text into sections. It makes the text more manageable. And if it is a scientific article or a newspaper article, it might already have clearly marked sections like introduction, background, methodology, and so forth in a scientific paper, and custom topics in a news article. If it is not explicitly divided into sections, look for subpoints or themes that happen, the differences in the flow, things change or fork out. Identify the topic sentences, those changes or those chunks. You can write a word or a short phrase that represents this topic sentence on the margin by yourself so that you can save your time when you come back to it. Next, we have step 3, identifying the key points in each section. You need to go through each part and pick out the most important points. When you are doing this, remember the focus points we discussed in step 0. Pay special attention to the thesis statement and the topic sentences. Think, what does the reader need to know to understand the overall arc or conclusion? Again, remember, you do not need to paraphrase each section in order. You need to paraphrase everything, yes, but you don't have to stick to the same order. Make a logical order where it is easy for your reader to understand your summary. You extract essential points, you leave out background information, and you also leave out supplementary details. Then step 4, the most important step, as many of you might see. You are writing the summary. Remember, you need to paraphrase the ideas. Do not copy paste. And remember from the last lecture, the last 3 steps: draft, improve, refine. Draft, improve, refine. Once you are done with this, we move to step 5. You read the original article one more time. And now read the summary you have written. Then make sure that you have accurately represented the author's work. You haven't missed any essential information. The phrasing is not too similar to any sentences the urgent. That is how you write a summary. Now, let's try it out. Pause here and try to summarize this document. Okay? Here is an example summary. Now, your summary does not have to be exactly what they have written here, but look to see if your summary has the good points that we are going to discuss now. Now let's see why this summary is a good summary. It identifies the writer. Remember, we discussed that citing the author or the source when available is very important. Then it gives the date of the publication and the source. Next, it restates the key ideas using original wording. They are not copy-pasted, they are paraphrased. And the summary report on the author's point of view, but it is reported neutral. It's not your point of view, it's the original author's point of view. Okay? Similarly, you can have a one-line summary, single sentence. Again, it is a good summary because it has the qualities that we discussed earlier. Now, hope you have understood summarizing. And as a parting thought, I'll give you this. Summaries are about the author's arguments and details. They are not the place for personal opinions or judgments. The person who's writes. See you soon with the next lecture.